Hey everybody, take my famous walk down the stairs here while I make you a new video. So hi and Happy New Year. I haven't made one of these walking videos yet in 2016, and I like to make them when I have little inspired thoughts. And today's thought is going to be kind of funny because I want to talk to you guys about being an asshole. So what do I mean by that? When I was either 21 or 22, I took this incredible course that was 10 months long called the Wisdom Course. And there was a teacher there who I consider one of my greatest mentors called Paul Turo. And Paul, ironically, actually lives pretty close to me now. Or I should say I live close to him. He lives in Carlsbad and is honestly one of the most amazing people I've ever met. And when I was 22, I'd been spending a lot of time around Paul, and he said a line that I think changed my life, and I'd argue probably changed Elon's life too, because we use it a lot. So I'm going to walk up a hill here, might lose my breath a little bit. But Paul said, "I'm an asshole, and I changed thousands of people's lives and continued during that time to change thousands of people's lives." And up until that moment, I was under the impression that in order to be transformed, in order to be an amazing human being, you had to get rid and peel away all these horrible parts about ourselves, like the asshole, like the anger, like the sadness, and then until all that stuff was gone, you didn't get to be an incredible human being. Over time, I found that these things can't be defeated. I talked about it in another video. It's just part of the mechanism, and it's best to, excuse the background noise, it's best to make friends with these parts of yourself, embrace them, and learn from them, because the weird part about life is that everything's flip side of the same coin. Your greatest strengths are your greatest weaknesses, and vice versa, and your greatest weaknesses can show your greatest strengths. So, as far as assholes are concerned, I have a theory that everyone on the planet is an asshole. No exception. Yes, you, watching this video, you're an asshole. And there's two kinds of assholes. There's the ones that know that they are, and the ones that deny that they are. Now, if you deny that you are, you'll do what I did through my teenage years, what most of us do through our teenage years. We're assholes. We shit all over everybody, and we leave people awake, dying, disabled, and hurt in our path, and we say, you deal with it, because our impression of the world is that we're victims and that something is being done to us. So we reciprocate with being awful, with being assholes. Second kind of asshole is the one that knows that they are, so that when they are, they can take responsibility for it, clean it up, and get power back in the relationships. Because every time that you're an a-hole in one of your relationships and you don't clean it up, you're losing power in that relationship. In fact, you're drinking poison angrily and hoping that they die. And you keep doing that and wondering why your relationships don't work, or why they don't listen to you anymore, or why they don't trust you anymore. And that shit don't work, right? So people want to grow, for the most part, not everybody, but those that do oftentimes believe that growth happens without pain. And I don't really understand that. I live in Southern California, in North County, which is one of the most new agey areas probably in the entire country, outside of maybe Seattle and Portland and some other hubs around the country, like Boulder. But for the most part, it's pretty damn new agey. And there's a great conversation out here about changing the world, personal development, etc. But I'm often disenchanted because they tend to view the world through just one lens. You're okay, I'm okay type lens. And that's fine. I think life should be lived inside of that context. But the good work is done in the ability to take responsibility for the fact that you're being a total fucking prick. Right? So when you can take responsibility and say, you know what, I am that way. Maybe it's not everybody else being an asshole. Maybe the common denominator of why people keep showing up like assholes, maybe it's me. And from that point of view, at least you can get started with some work, because now you're owning these parts of yourself. You're saying, you know what, maybe I am that way. Well, let's take a look over here. So if you want growth, just look at, again, your life. How does growth happen without pain? I mean, if you want a great ass, guess what? You have to go to the gym and do some squats. And squats hurt. Why? Because your ass is growing. Same thing with everything in life. So if you're only looking at the sweet side of life, and you have this inability to go in to the nasty parts of yourself and say, you know what? In the right circumstances, I'm an asshole. Guys, I'm an asshole. Ask my girlfriend. Ask my parents. Ask my brother. From time to time, that's just what happens, right? Something happens. You get triggered. This little reptilian brain goes freaking bananas and overrides all the training. I've been doing training non-stop for 13 years. Non-stop. Vipassana, landmark, NLP, subconscious, hallucinogenics, you name it. Ayahuasca, done it all. I can't defeat these parts of myself. And if you cross me, guess what? The reptilian brain kicks in and lets you have it. I got a really short fuse, guys. I haven't fixed myself. I don't know that we can. But you know what? The fact that I'm able to say to myself, guy, take a step back. You're being an asshole. Gives me access to something. Otherwise, again, you're just leaving people awake and dead in your path. And that's not what I'm committed to. So I want to give you a quick analogy and then invite you to something. Part of this is my analogy. Part of this is Debbie Ford's analogy. Rest in peace, Debbie. I always say that we are beings of infinite possibility. I think most people would agree with that. And I assert that when you're around a baby, if you notice, you usually feel pretty good. And I think the reason that you feel good when you're around a baby is because you're in the presence of infinite possibility. Here's this unshaped life. So I want you to imagine that all the ways when you were born, all these infinite possibilities, there's like a room with a castle with thousands of rooms, and every one of these rooms represents a possibility for you in this infinite realm of possibility. So you keep given this tour of this castle, and at the end of this tour you ask for feedback and you say, hey, what did you think? And the person says to you something along the lines of, hey, you got a great place here, but there's that one room in the back corner, it's jacked up, you got to do something about it. And no matter how many times you give this tour, you kind of get similar feedback. So you start buying it. So you go back there and you look at the room and you say, you know what, maybe this room is a little bit effed up. Should probably do something about it. So you repaint it, you buy new furniture, get a feng shuied, whatever works, right? And then you start giving the tour again. And no matter how many times you change that room, at the end of the tour, you keep getting negative feedback about that room until you decide for yourself that, you know what, you're going to close the doors and this room is coming off the tour. You're not going to show it anymore. Now imagine that over a lifetime. Keep giving the tour, eventually you're going to get negative feedback, and you just start closing all these doors. And by the time I meet somebody and they come to work with me or my brother, there's like 2 rooms left open. And you forget. And I'm sorry, and the person comes in and says, I know who I am. Right? In America we ask, what do you do? Like that defines you somehow. We know everything about you by what you do. It's ridiculous. And these people think they know who they are and they forget that they're beings of infinite possibility. So I'm telling you this because one of the ways you can be is an asshole. And I've been being told for a long time now, guys. I mean, every reading I've ever gotten, Kabbalah, reading from, there's this amazing woman here, Pam in San Diego, does incredible readings. Every person that's an intuitive, anybody I've ever talked to has more or less told me that I'm here to save the world. That I'm one of these people that can literally put a giant dent in the future of our society. That scares the shit out of me. Like, you could hear it in my voice. I can't even say it without trembling. But over the last few years, I kind of started believing it, which is why I'm making more and more of these videos, because I know that I have something to share that impacts people's lives, frees them and changes them into beautiful, amazing human beings that they were always intended to be. But at the end of the day, I don't see myself as a savior. Dude, I'm an anarchist at heart. I look at society and it's telling people they don't have power, or at least making them believe that, whether it's saying it or not. Having them believe that they are invaluable, or I'm sorry, not valuable to other people. That's crazy talk. Every single one of us is so valuable. And all these crazy things that I want to break that conversation in half. I'm not committed to a planet where people think they're powerless. I'm not committed to a planet where people aren't healing themselves and sick and dying and no one's doing anything about it. That's crazy to me. So these conversations are to give you back your power, are to remind you that you're a being of infinite possibility, and maybe you forgot it somewhere along the way, and it's time to remember who you are. So here's my declaration, guys. I'm an asshole, but I have and continue to make a difference for thousands of people all over the world every day. And that's not an easy thing for me to say, but the evidence is stacking up. So I have 2 invitations for you guys. Obviously, most of you, if you follow me, you know that Elon and I have a live event coming up in San Diego. We'd love to have you here. I'd love to help you break through and find your power. Maybe even figure out that you're an asshole so you get some power back. It's on February 3rd and 4th. If you need more details, the link is going to be in the description, or you can go to SatoriPrime.com/live. If you can't be there, or if your finances won't allow you to do it, which I think, by the way, is a really bad excuse, make it work if you want to be there. And obviously if you don't, that's fine too. But if you do want to work with us, or you have any questions, we have what's called a Mind Method program, where we do group coaching every month. And I have a laundry list of testimonials of people's whose lives are completely altered and transformed, and their experience of being alive and who they are and their value and their purpose and what's possible for them as a being of infinite possibility is completely altered. So if you're looking for power in your life, if you're just so fucking sick of the status quo, of believing a false story that was drilled into your head from a time before you could probably even form memories, then cut it out and come work with somebody. Whether it's us, if you connect with us, or somebody else. Guys, it's time. No opportunity like now has ever shown itself to the human race. You can be an asshole and you can make a difference. Trust me. I'm not a recovering one. I'm a current one. And I still get to make a difference for thousands of people. And I know that you can too. I love you. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks for listening.